Welcome to the geopolitical show, The Chessboard, where we bring to you unadulterated information about geopolitical phenomena from all across the globe. I'm your host, Farhan, Intisher, Khaled. The intent and purpose of this show is to bring to you undiluted, unadulterated, and genuine information about geopolitical phenomena from all across the globe, as well as Bangladesh. The critical discussion for today is studying and analyzing the ever-changing nature of global security and its implication. We will also be discussing which trajectory we are following globally. And the discussion will be a very crucial and substantial one and very critical to geopolitics in general. I will not be prolonging this part of the discussion or our interview. We will be proceeding with watching a very short video for you to understand the critical compositions and substance of today's topic. Dear viewers, welcome to a new episode where we will be discussing yet again about the implications of the ever-changing nature of global security. I have with me once again Ambassador Iftekhar Ahmed Chowdhury. He was the foreign advisor for the caretaker government between 2007 and 2009. Sir, thank you so much for being with me on this episode as well.
Thank you for having me again.
Of course, sir. A pleasure. Sir, may I begin with the questions?
Yes, of course.
Sir, my question, the very first question would be discussing the US tariff regime, which has been in place from the beginning of this year, preferably from April. Sir, if I were to ask you, what motivated Donald Trump to impose restrictions? During his first administration, the restriction was exclusive, rather specified to China. However, this time around, this has been targeted at every single country around the world. And the last time I checked, some specifications dictated that 90 countries out of all the other countries were harshly affected by the implications of such tariffs. What motivated him to pursue this?
Well, actually, Trump's America,
Yes.
President Trump's America is different from the America that we have known.
Of course, sir.
Particularly during the Cold War.
Of course.
And when America was seen as leader of the free world, etc.
Yes, sir.
Now, a part of the Republican Party, which is led by Mr. Trump,
Yes, sir.
they tend to believe now that has cost America too much, that kind of leadership of the free world, etc.
Yes, sir.
That is because American interests were actually sacrificed. And America believed like Gulliver, was bound down by the Lilliputians.
Okay, sir.
In Jonathan Swift's famous allegory.
Yes, sir. Of course.
So America wanted to sort of be relieved of these restraints put on itself.
Yes, sir.
And Trump wanted to put America first.
Of course.
The perceived national interest of America.
Yes, sir.
As you know, in the United States comprises of 50 states.
Yes.
They are more or less autonomous in
Yes,
many ways.
Yes, sir.
However, foreign policy has been more or less subcontracted to the presidency
Yes.
in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And American president is broadly in charge of foreign affairs.
Yes.
And he's usually left to it himself. Normally,
Yes.
the Congress, which comprises the House of Representatives and the Senate, should oversee the foreign involvement of the United States. In effect, it is left to the president. Even war and peace is beginning to be left to the president.
Yes,
Though there
sir.
have been some in Venezuela, etc. You'll notice that there have been some murmurs of resistance by the Congress.
Yes.
So tariff comes under that purview because it involves the relationship with other states.
Yes, sir.
Trump's America believes that they were, within quotes, cheated out of in the economic interactions with much of the rest of the world,
Yes, sir.
including by allies like European countries,
Yes, of
Japan, etc.
Yes, sir.
And now they want their pound of flesh, you see, and so hence the tariffs. So
Yes.
that's the background.
Yes, sir.
And as you know, he has imposed tariff more or less on his own.
Yes, sir.
And to many countries, he used the tariffs as a tool to begin trade negotiations,
Yes.
which ultimately will be a more sustainable relationship with that
Yes, sir.
country.
We have seen allies such as the UK, Australia, Canada. Canada is, to call it an ally would be quite contentious at this day and age because of his, in a way, rhetorical debate with Mark Carney. Other than that, sir, we have observed President Trump pursuing negotiations with allies who, in a way, was on the US's side against other threats and obstacles the US faced either in the Indo-Pacific or anywhere else around the world. They were his, in a way, his buttress or support. However, sir, is this a situation or a condition where the US has begun looking inwards? Because we have seen Trump promoting investment in the US, either by Taiwan's TSMC or by Saudi Arabia, which has recently promised to increase its investment and make it into $1 trillion in the coming decades. And of course, other countries as well. Trump wants other countries to of course, invest in his country. Is this, in a way, looking inwards and becoming more populist in nature and going against the norms and ideals of globalization? Is this a case, sir?
It's certainly going against the norms and ideals of globalization, but
Yes, sir.
there is a historical backdrop to it.
Of course.
The way America has tended to behave,
Yes, sir.
that when America became a republic,
Yes, sir.
much of the old world, the
Yes, sir.
European world,
Yes.
were still kingdoms.
Yes, sir.
And America was, in many ways, seen as a light on the shining light on the hill, etc.
Yes, sir.
And you see, the American values began to be practiced because America was is a democratic country. America wanted to be left alone and also wanted to have the suzerainty of sorts over the American hemisphere, which is the Monroe Doctrine,
Yes, sir.
which
Yes,
is that
yes,
they
sir.
didn't want the Europeans to interfere. In the American
Yes.
continent.
Yes, sir.
From time to time, America has intervened in the world.
Yes.
With initially with some hesitation in the First Great War, for instance, America came to the rescue of the old world
Yes,
against the old world's bigger enemy, which was the Germans.
Of course.
America became involved. And then you see America involves itself and then retreats into what is called Fortress America, retreats into an America of their
Yes.
own. So after the First Great War, when the League of Nations, which is a part of American thinking, a product
Yeah,
of
of course
American
it was.
thinking, America itself did not join the League of
No, it
Nations.
didn't.
You see. Then again, it was brought into the Second World War, Pearl Harbor against Japan, and of course the invasion of the Anglo-Saxon Brits,
Yes, sir.
Britain by Germany brought
Germany.
America into the war.
Yes, sir.
Into the war as a direct cause.
Yes, sir.
Churchill. So after the American involvement in the Second World War, once again we saw a retreat of sorts back into Fortress America, but America built the Bretton Woods, helped build Bretton Woods institutions,
Yes, sir.
the financial institutions, the United Nations
Yes,
itself, which it headquartered.
Yes, sir.
Unlike the League of Nations, by the way, which was headquartered in Geneva.
Geneva.
So so America became very much involved in in the Cold War as a leader of the, within quotes, free world,
Yes, sir.
leading the NATO, etc. Now again, it is in many ways going back to Fortress America,
Yes, sir.
withdrawing from the rest of the world, withdrawing from multilateralism, putting America first, as we have discussed.
Yes, sir.
And dealing with the world
Yes, sir.
more or less on bilateral basis.
Yes, sir.
You talked of allies. In a situation like that, ally is a strange word, because to be an ally, you need an enemy. There are no specifically dictated, identified enemies
Yes,
as
sir.
such.
Yes, sir.
You see, I mean, it's not that Russia is an enemy of the United
sir.
States and the others are allies, etc.
Yes, sir.
As you see, in Ukraine, America has a role on both sides.
Yes, sir.
Nor China.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure we will discuss China,
A
America.
competitor, not an enemy.
Yeah, a competitor. Yeah, absolutely, a
Yes, sir.
competitor.
I think Biden actually himself said this. Like, China is not an enemy, but a competition.
Yes, that is right, and
Yes,
the
sir.
idea is not to contain China,
Yeah.
but to constrain China and compete with it.
Compete with it, yes, sir.
So anyway, so that is the present position.
Yes, sir.
So that is why they have imposed these tariffs, etc.
Yes, sir.
And that is how America is behaving almost bilaterally with each of these countries that you have mentioned.
Yes, sir.
And they are negotiating with them bilaterally,
Yes,
not
sir.
just in tariffs, but in political relations as well.
Yes, sir. I love how you appropriately use the term Fortress America. It's a very, very aesthetically pleasing to the senses, sir. Sir, if I were to ask you about China, I remember at the height of the tension regarding tariffs between the two countries, every single day there would be an increase to an extent where it began seeming very whimsical to me, from 80% to 100% to one day when I was checking, I think the Wall Street Journal, it said 145%.
Yes, that's right.
Anything beyond that would be redundant, sir. Like, who would trade with you beyond 145% in tariffs? And China responded in kind. To an extent, it did seem like the two powers were butting heads with one another, and I was waiting for 1,000% increase in tariffs. I really was anticipating something as such. However, Trump threatened at 250%, which did not result as a manifestation. So my question to you would be, have the two countries reached a decision, reached an equilibrium, and decided on a trade deal? Is there a possibility of a trade deal in any way?
Well, yes, of course, there are possibilities, but back to what the sort of
back and forth in trade.
Back and forth and,
Yes.
and tariff this thing.
Yes.
Those were the initial sparrings.
Yes, sir.
But most of us knew that eventually they'll settle down to real negotiations,
Yes, sir.
where, as indeed they did. Both, of course, need each other. America is a preponderant global power.
Of course, sir.
China is rising. America realizes this, and hence China is seen as a competitor. And you see, a competitor is also another word of a source of threat. You see,
Of course,
it is a source of threat to the preponderance of the
Yes.
United States.
Yes, sir.
It is usually believed in international relations that when there is a rising power, the power that has already risen tends to prevent the rise of the new protagonist.
The Thucydides
So
trap.
this is the Thucydides
Yes.
syndrome,
Yes.
as we had explained in an earlier episode, that the Greek philosopher Thucydides had said when Athens grew strong, there was great fear in Sparta.
Yes, sir.
So that was what it was.
Yes.
China has been rising slowly but inexorably.
Oh,
Inexorably, it has been rising slowly, And President Xi Jinping had looked to America as, of course, as a powerful protagonist in the global system,
Yes, sir.
and wanted to establish what the Chinese called a new kind of relationship between the two powers.
Yes, sir.
You see, but Americans more simply, or the Western philosophy, IR philosophy, international relations philosophy, look at it as G2, but the Chinese don't see it as a group of two,
Yes, sir.
as if group of two are dominating the world, which
Yes,
comes
sir.
from the imperial perceptions of the colonial past
Yes,
of the
sir.
West.
Yes, sir.
But China looks at it as a new kind of relationship between two powers.
Yes, sir.
However, basically what is happening is that they are leading two kinds of thought processes,
Yes, sir.
which is leading the world.
Yes, sir.
Now, so China is both need each other. What has happened in America is because much of the manufacturing
Yes,
has
sir.
gone out of America
Of course,
to
sir.
other countries.
Of course, sir.
To other countries, and America has lost its manufacturing edge.
Yes, sir.
This has political implications
Yes, sir.
for many American states,
Yes, sir.
where much of the working
Yes,
class don't have jobs.
Yes, sir.
These production is taking place elsewhere.
Of course.
As a result, these workers also constitute a part of the Republican,
Yes,
what they call redneck Republican power base.
Yes, sir.
So, as a result, the Americans want manufacture
Yes,
to
sir.
return
Yes, sir.
to America.
Yes, sir.
And that is not happening.
Yes, sir.
So, because manufacturing has gone out of the United States,
sir.
and they want to bring manufacturing back again to the United States, because manufacturing means jobs
Of course.
for Americans.
Yes, sir.
So that is first goal, American employment. Secondly is the strategic clout of the country which controls the manufactured goods that America needs.
Yes, sir.
Now, America, for example, rare earth,
Yes, sir.
which is absolutely essential for many of
Yes,
these
sir.
specialized manufacturers in the
Yes, sir.
United States.
Yes, sir.
China
Yes,
is the great producer and processor
Yes, sir.
of rare earth,
Yes, sir.
which America needs.
Yes, sir.
So that is why America is hugely dependent
Yes, sir.
on China for its rare earth.
Yes, sir.
Then soybeans,
Yeah.
the American agriculture states.
Yes, sir.
China is the foremost buyer of soybeans.
Yes, sir.
And that is, of course, they need China to buy more and more American soybeans.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, when referring to rare earths, of course, we are aware of the fact that China holds 60% of the production and 93% of the manufacturing and processing of
Well,
rare
okay,
earths.
80
Yes,
to
sir.
90%. Yeah, that's
Yes, sir.
right.
So that is a very domineering number, because not only the US but the rest of the world is in a way dependent on China's output when it comes to rare earths. Sir. Rare earths, I've recently read somewhere where they said rare earths themselves is not rare, but the processing is, because it's a very complicated process. You did answer my question, because the two powers do need to come to rather
Complement each other
of
in
course,
many ways. Yes.
Of course, sir, because manufacturing in the US is not inexpensive. There's the issue of labor, because labor is not cheap in the US as it would be in China, and even in China, sir, labor cost is increasing and incrementally going upwards, which in a way is changing how the middle class in China is interacting with the rest of the world, as well as being within the country. So, sir, my next question to you would be, outside of China, I would then go back to a location where China has an investment position, however not relating to it. It's Africa, sir. This is relating to wars and skirmishes, as well as military coups, which has become such a such a norm, especially in the West and Central African region, that they have a specific term for it. It's called the coup belt, because it encompasses Western and Central Africa, especially in the Sahel region as well. So my question would be, when referring to wars in the world, such as the Sudan war, as well as coups in Madagascar or even Equatorial Guinea, we do the Equatorial Guinea or Guinea-Bissau, why are these things not as highlighted in international media as, let's say, a war in the European region? For instance, I don't want to prolong this statement. However, when during the initial stages of the Russia-Ukraine war, most American as well as European news outlets, they were, of course, if not from the ground, but they were from around the region, and they were actually broadcasting live, where one of the broadcasters was heard saying that this is a new low for Europe, because we are seeing a migration situation or a crisis where the crisis is stemming from Europe itself, and the migrants are Eurocentric in attributes. They look like us, they sound like us, they have blue eyes like us. That was verbatim, sir, which was in a way racist, and making migration and the idea of migration endemic to a specific region, be it in the Middle East or in the MENA region, the Middle East and North African region. This was just for context, sir. However, my initial question was that when it comes to the Sudan war and other wars and military coups in Africa, why aren't they as much highlighted as skirmishes, wars, or any bellicose situation in either Europe or somewhere related to America?
Well, I'd assume that's because of the nature of the impact of such a war. The impact of Ukraine war that you and I feel is not the impact that we feel from the war in Sudan.
Of course, sir.
Yeah. So that is why naturally we're more concerned with the Ukraine, because it means that prices of grains are higher, price of energy is higher, etc., etc.
Yes, sir.
Whereas the war in Sudan does not impact upon you and me and much of the rest of the world.
Yes,
however, in the long run, of course, it's a globe. We like to believe it's a global village, and in many ways it is.
It is, sir.
I'll go back to something that you said earlier about the way Chinese progressing their interactions with the rest of the world.
Yes, sir.
They are doing it through what is known as the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative.
Yes.
They have created, you see, the prosperity of China has been different from the prosperity of the colonial West. China did not become prosperous by conquering foreign territories and by sort of taking away their resources, the predatory activities that the many Western powers were involved in. However, China has built connections through their initiatives, built trade routes, followed the old Silk Route. The Belt and Road Initiative has linked scores and scores of Chinese countries, which, by the way, have, for infrastructure activities, etc., have become also dependent on China.
Yes, sir.
So, in a way, China has also prospered because of the BRI.
Yes, sir.
Now, so that is one way, but China has not committed military aggressions on countries.
Yes.
But the Chinese approach has been very subtle. But at the same time, the Chinese like to believe that these have led to win-win situations. You see. So, however, now in Africa, what has happened is several things. One is sometimes we call it the Dutch disease. I don't know if you're aware of it. The Dutch disease is when you see you're very wealthy about one some kind of a mineral or something in your country, one resource. There's a huge interest in that resource that completely distorts your economy.
Yes, sir.
And it becomes also in many ways a curse.
Of course.
Sometimes
The resource
because
curse, sir.
the resource curse.
Yes, sir.
So these are linked.
Yes.
Some African countries are suffering that,
Yes,
you
sir.
see, and they don't have the military wherewithal to protect
Yes,
the resources.
Yes, sir.
So they fall prey
Yes,
to all these predatory interests.
Nigeria is a very appropriate
predatory interests
example, sir.
of
Resource
more
curse.
powerful countries.
Yes, sir.
Secondly, the societies have not evolved in a way they have learned to protect their interests.
Yes, sir. Of course, completely agree.
They have not been able to build democratic institutions.
Yes, sir.
Within themselves.
Yes, sir.
As a result, the institutions crumble.
Yes, sir.
The military, or the man on horseback, as it used to be said, is usually a powerful component in all these societies because they are slightly better educated than the rest of the community. They go to schools, they're trained one way or another.
Yes.
So they have the capacity to learn, they have the capacity to calculate,
Yes.
they have the capacity to use equipment, and therefore these results translate into their sort of predilection
Yes.
to capture political power
Yes.
in the country.
Yes, sir.
So that is how all these coups take place in African countries.
Yes, sir.
Under normal circumstances, you would probably have the international institutions which would ensure that most countries in the world follow the same norms in setting up their civic institutions.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, as we have discussed in other episodes, the multilateral institutions that we have set up have ceased to be guardians of the mores,
Yes.
Values,
Yes, sir.
and institutions
Yes, sir.
of the world.
Yes, sir.
And as a result, Africa is left on its own. Most of the Africans belong to what is called the least developed countries group, etc.
Yes, sir.
And as a result, Africa is prone to the curse of these coups, as you discussed.
And of course, sir, terrorism to unprecedented levels, because most countries which are affected by coups as well as other aggressions of other kinds, we do see elements of terrorism, especially between the Arabs and non-Arabs, and there are terrorists from Christian origins as well as, of course, Muslim origins who do want a radical caliphate-like manifestations within Africa.
Well, okay. I mean, throughout history, of course, much of the world has developed the same way. I mean, you have had groups within the community who have terrorized the weaker communities in our own societies.
Yes, sir.
We had the Borghese and all that sort of thing,
Yes, sir.
as you know. So these have been there throughout. You mentioned Sudan, which is a sad story.
Very sad
As you know,
story,
in Sudan, the conflict arises from conflict between two components of the armed forces:
Yes.
the military and the sort of
Yes,
paramilitary force.
Yes, sir.
And countries like Iran,
Yes, sir.
The UAE,
Yes,
Egypt have
Yes.
become involved by supporting one or the
Yes, sir.
other.
Yes,
And this has led to a tremendous impact on the society, of course.
Yes, sir.
A huge tragedy in terms of gargantuan proportions.
Yes, sir.
With regard to refugees.
Internal displacement, hunger, famine,
Yes.
so many things, sir.
Famine, hunger, etc.
Yes, sir. Sir, very unfortunate, but we have to shift from that discussion to another one. Let's shift to European affairs, sir. Very simple, very precise. I will go from my deliberate elaboration, sir. Do you see in the future an end to the Russia-Ukraine war? Because we are seeing Trump imposing a peace plan on the two countries. Is there a possibility?
Okay, I mean, it's a very complex problem. The history of Ukraine
Yes.
has been a complex one. Ukraine has been like a tennis ball, I mean, jumping or being played
Yes,
from
sir.
one end of Europe to another by Lithuania
Yes.
to Poland,
Yes, sir.
Russia,
Yes, sir.
etc. Ukraine was very much involved in the various partitions of Poland.
Yes, sir.
It was largely intellectually, emotionally, even linguistically a part of the broad Russian Empire at
Yes,
one
sir, of
stage.
course, sir.
We discussed the United Nations
Yes, sir.
in other episodes. You might recall that the USSR
Yes,
had
of course,
3 seats in the United Nations.
Okay,
There was the Soviet Union,
Yes,
there was Ukraine, and Belarus,
Belarus, yes.
Belarusia as they used to call it then.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, so Ukraine-Russia relations have always been problematic.
Yes, sir.
Culturally, they have been close. Chekhov and others have lived in Ukraine and written, contributed to Russian literature.
Yes,
so
sir.
that's all in the past. But okay, of late, Ukraine wanted to break away from Russia, as
Yes,
many
sir.
parts of the old Soviet Union has, and they were very keen to become more European, join NATO.
Yes, sir.
And Russia wouldn't have it. Russia wouldn't have NATO on their doorstep,
Yes,
Ukraine. So that led to the
Yes, sir.
initial conflict, and then eventually the war, which has lasted far longer than it should.
Yes, sir, of
now
course.
the peace. Okay. All bad, like all good things, and all bad things must end as well.
Of course.
But we are hoping that the war in Ukraine would end, because it has cost the Ukrainians, certainly the Europeans and the rest of the world,
Yes.
a huge lot.
Of course.
Now the problem is, how is this peace to be resolved?
Yeah.
If you've followed it, Russia has captured already militarily about 19% of
The Donbass region.
Donbass region,
Yes.
the
Crimea?
Crimea,
Yes, sir.
and so 4 provinces,
Yes,
I
yes,
think,
4 provinces.
in all, constituting around 19%.
Yes.
So they would very much like to keep that,
Yes,
and
sir.
they are winning at this point in time.
Yes, sir.
So that is one problem,
Yes.
which Ukraine can't afford to, Kiev can't afford to give up.
Yes,
That's
sir.
one. Secondly, Kiev does want at some point in time to join NATO, which Russia won't allow.
Yes, sir.
And thirdly, in between, the Russians would not tolerate
Yes, sir.
European security guarantee
Yes, sir.
to not just NATO, but even European security
Yes, sir.
guarantee to Ukraine.
Yes, sir.
So it's a very complex thing. As you know, the negotiations are going on right now.
Yes, sir.
Messrs. Putin and Trump have met.
Yes, sir.
Then we've had hours and hours of discussions in recent times.
Yes, sir.
Now I understand they'll meet in Florida
Yes,
or somewhere. However, as we speak, as you and I speak,
Yes, sir.
there are many visits, important visits taking part
Yes,
in
sir.
other parts of the world.
Yes, sir.
We are having right now Mr. Putin visiting India.
Yes,
we
sir.
are having Mr. Macron, President Macron visiting
Yes.
China,
Yes, sir.
and we are having, I think, the German President visiting King Charles
Yes, sir.
in the UK.
Yes, sir.
So all of them
Yes, sir.
all these visits will entail some focus and development on the Ukrainian issue.
Of course, sir.
These can help resolution, but the resolution of this conflict is still very complex, and it will take a lot of nimble diplomacy for us to come to an agreement.
Thank you so much, sir. Relating to that discussion about a peace, or rather an end to the Russia-Ukraine war, we have heard murmurs, rather oblique statements, where it has been indicated that Secretary of State Marco Rubio allegedly made a statement where he said that the Trump peace plan, which is the 28-point peace plan, was something of the fulfillment of a wish list, verbatims, fulfillment of a wish list by Russia. So in a way, it was indicative of the fact that the peace plan or the process was in favor of Russia. Sir, is there any truth to that?
Well, you see, we don't know if there's a bit of truth to almost everything that you've heard, and
Yes, sir.
there's lots of untruths to everything
Yes,
that you've
sir.
heard as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, Kiev and also the Europeans think that the peace plan has been influenced by Russian thinking. It is quite possible that the Russian thinking has coincided with the American thinking.
Yes, sir.
That could be, this is not that is an intellectual influence because
Yes,
you
sir.
are viewing the same problem, but you are separately coming to the same conclusions.
Yes, sir.
It could be that.
Yes.
It could be actually the physical influence
sir.
exercised
Yes.
by one side on the other.
Yes, sir.
But the fact remains that not everyone involved, like the European powers, Ukraine,
Yes, sir.
are persuaded that all these points are down to the interest of Ukrainian interest.
Yes.
So that is the problem. At some point in time, some kind of a agreement will have to be reached if you want to end the war.
Of course, sir, because no matter what Russia says, it has been estimated that the military, Russian military, as well as the economy itself, has faced damages and losses over $200 billion. And the Russian military is now spending 6% of Russian GDP in its defense forces and for its operations against Ukraine, which is alarming to an extent because the European powers as well as other countries in Europe, they don't spend above 2% in their militaries, which one is the point of contention between Europe itself as well as America. So, sir, this must come to an end. I do agree with you because the not just rhetoric-wise, but the financial implications are too much for us to bear.
Yeah, well, economics is a very strange subject.
Yes, sir.
Where there are costs, there are also often benefits. You see,
Okay.
so that is the danger.
Okay, sir.
Whereas you have just described to me all the costs of the war.
Yes, sir.
Remember, Eisenhower had spoken about the military-industrial complex.
Yes, sir, of
Because
course.
there's an industry which thrives on human conflict.
Sir, if I may interject, this year alone they have amassed benefits over, not benefits per se, profits of $679 billion.
So there you are. So
679
you,
billion.
you have taken the words out of my mouth, so to say. Yes, so they're
The top
both
100
sides.
military industrial
so
companies.
all this balances out.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
there are costs of war, the benefits of war. Otherwise, wars would not have happened.
Yes, sir, of course.
So obviously, I mean, rationality is that
Yes,
war
sir.
benefits some and causes losses to some.
Of course, sir. There's a saying called "one man's trash is another man's treasure." In this way, one man's tragedy is another man's gain.
Yes, but then again, you see, it reverses, fortune reverses. So
Yes, sir.
you see.
Of course, sir.
However, I think the received wisdom is that peace is better than war.
Very beautifully put, sir. Very beautifully put. Sir, my last questions, rather, it could be summed up into one single question. Let's come back to Bangladesh from Europe. We've had quite the journey today. Sir, how do you think Bangladesh, in this changing nature of geopolitics and global security, how is Bangladesh traversing itself? Are we on the right path to balancing our relationships with the rest of the world?
Well, there is no right and wrong path. You see, the thing is that as the world changes, the way you put up your own guardrails must also alter with it, change with it. My idea is that the notion of sovereignty is also changing globally.
It is.
You see, once upon a time, all countries were considered sovereigns. Then we actually see in practical terms, there are levels of sovereignty that countries have.
Yes, sir.
I mean, some countries are more sovereign than others.
Yes, sir.
Others. Some countries, like for example, Burma, Myanmar, now you see the sovereignty is eroded by a lot of war fighting by different factions
Yes, sir.
within it, and many countries
Of course, sir.
become involved.
Yes, sir.
Afghanistan sovereignties have been eroded.
Of course.
I mean, again,
Of course,
but
sir.
you would not try and erode the sovereignty of France or the UK
No, sir.
in that way, so they're more sovereign.
Yes.
So you are sovereign to the extent that you're able to protect your own sovereignty.
Yes, sir,
so
of
it's
course, sir.
very important for us to develop the capacity, both diplomatic, political, operational, and military,
Yes, sir.
to protect ourselves in case it is threatened.
Yes, sir.
States will need to do that. Otherwise, states will, boundaries will alter, states will transform. We have seen tragedies occur in many countries like
sir.
Yugoslavia in recent times.
Oh, of course.
Pakistan itself was divided,
Yes, sir, of course.
of which we were part. We've seen coming together of many countries. In 1947, India comprised 562 near independent states which
Yes,
came
sir.
together in the
Yes,
form
sir,
of the
Union.
Union of India and Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
And also Pakistan and then,
Yes, sir.
then Bangladesh.
Of course, sir.
So the state system keeps evolving. Every nation likes a piece of territory for itself, which
Yes.
they call their own state, their
Yes, sir.
homeland.
Yes, sir.
It likes to protect it. When it is able to protect it, it becomes their country.
Yes.
And sometimes these countries merge with others, and sometimes they lose their sovereignty. And this is what we have been discussing all along. Ukraine, for instance,
Of course.
is a perfect example
Yes, sir.
where a country is trying to protect its sovereignty and is not being able to do it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. My last question for you would be, you have been the foreign advisor, so you are well beyond being well-read on our national foreign policy, sir. Sir, we've always had the practice of friendship towards all and malice towards none. Going forward, as the intellectual and the expert that you are, how would you suggest Bangladesh augment its foreign policy? Do you think we need to make changes, or are we on the right track?
No, you flatter me by all those attributes.
No flattery
I'm
intended, sir. Exact
civil
application.
servant,
Yes.
diplomat, who's pressed into the service of the country.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a continuous process.
Yes, sir.
I mean, sometimes you have to negotiate with your perceived antagonist.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you have to relate to your friends.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes when you're weak, you have to build linkages in order to make up your power gap
Yes, sir.
with your potential adversaries.
Of course, of course.
You have to do that. So that is what diplomacy is about.
Yes,
and that is what we, the diplomats, are trained to do for our country.
Exactly.
And in my career, which has been a long one, I have perceived my country at different stages, requiring different kinds of activities in order to protect its sovereignty and independence. And thank goodness we have been able to do it so far
Yes,
in
sir.
Bangladesh. And I have every reason to believe that we will continue to do that. We have to be nimble, we have to be aware,
Yes, sir.
and we have to develop our capabilities.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. This was a delightful discussion. I am beyond flattered that you chose my platform and gave an interview to me. Thank you so much. This discussion itself is a blessing to my platform.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to see this kind of expertise develop in the community in Bangladesh. We really need it, and this is what is going to make up what you call the deficiencies that we believe we had in the past. I hope we don't. We
Yes.
have this tremendous youth dividend in this country, and let's press it to the nation's service
Yes, sir.
by sharpening our intellects, and exercises such as these help us do that.
Of course, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So, viewers, you do understand where we are coming from. Diplomacy over any act of aggression, any day of the day, any day of the year, any day in time. So, thank you so much for being with us. If you've enjoyed this discussion as much as I have, then please subscribe to our channel, both on Facebook as well as YouTube, and comment what you'd like to see, or rather, you'd like for us to discuss for you. You get to make the decisions, we get to provide to you. So if you provide us with your input and your insights, we'd be able to better cater to your requirements. Thank you so much. Until next time.
And I would also like to thank our viewers.
Of course, sir. Please
They are
do,
the
sir.
Source of encouragement. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.